Good afternoon, everyone. It's a hot afternoon in the African bush. I am searching for animals, and this is Safari Live.
Ready. Standing by.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Safari Live. My name is Byron, and on camera with me this afternoon is Craig. We've got Louise and Jerry in the final control, and of course James you saw earlier with JC, and then Tristan is also out on game drive with Jandre. Now I'm standing on this termite mound looking for some animals, but while I do that, I also want to give a big warm welcome to the schools this afternoon. We've got Ellington, and we've got let me see if I get this right, Colegio San Patricio. Lovely to have you with us, and it's great that the schools are able to join us on Safari Live. So please don't forget to send us your questions and get your teachers to tweet us or send via email, and we'll gladly answer your questions for you. Now, I'm going to be on bushwalk this afternoon, and we are going to be looking for some of the smaller creatures we might find on safari. Now, I climbed on top of this termite mound just to have a look to see if we could find anything around, get a better view, but nothing just yet. Now, it's a beautiful clearing that we are in at the moment. But while I'm walking through here and in search of some tiny little creatures and hopefully some big creatures, maybe some elephant, my friend Tristan is out on game drive and he would like to say hello to you, and he's got a surprise for you.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Safari Live. As you can see, we've managed to find a few cheeky little baboons that are running and playing. As we arrived, they seem to have been having a little drink, but you can hear that there's a bit of chaos going on. Some of the youngsters have run into one of the bigger males, and he is not very impressed with it at all. There's also a couple of other males that have come in and joined together, and they seem to be having a little bit of a territorial dispute with one another. So that's what all that audio is. You can see a whole bunch more coming down on the water's edge here. There we go. All the little ones, after all the screaming and shouting, they're all coming and grouping together just to make sure that there's no sign of any predators or any sort of threat that they need to be worried about. So all the little ones in together, and all the adults then up into the trees to be able to look out for any danger. Well, that was quite a good start. But let me just introduce myself. My name is Tristan. This is my first afternoon on Safari Live. I'm so excited to be joining the team and to be a part of this experience, and I hope that everybody that is tuned in is going to enjoy it with me. Also, a special mention just to the schools that are joining us this afternoon. I hope you guys really enjoy it and send us lots of questions so that we can answer them for you. There's one of the big boys just expressing his displeasure as one of the younger males went up the tree there. Quite a beautiful sound that they make. It's one that carries quite far and is definitely very intimidating to those younger individuals. So while we're sitting here with the baboons, I'd also like to welcome Windsor Oaks Elementary. They're another one of the schools that will be joining us this afternoon. So Windsor Oaks, hello to all of you, and please send us all of your questions. We would love to hear from you guys. You can send them through to Safari Live TV. Questions at WildEarthTV. Sorry guys, I'm very sorry about that. So Marissa would like to know if the baboons come in different colors. Here in Djuma, where we are in South Africa, no, the baboons do not come in different colors. They are all pretty much this uniform olivey, grey, brown color. But as you move into Africa and you start heading up into East Africa, you start to get yellow baboons, olive baboons, which have a slightly different color to their coat. But here in South Africa, the Chakma baboon, which is the one that we are busy watching, has no difference in its coloration. It seems that they've all gone up into trees at this stage, looking around. If we have a look on the left side here of this tree, you can see there's a lot of messing around going on. They're all chasing each other around, and there's one female there with a little baby, and it seems the males are giving her quite a hard time. You can see she's expressing her displeasure at being bounced around in this tree by a bunch of naughty males. I would imagine that most females would feel that way if they were being bounced around in trees like that. But yeah, it seems like they're all a little bit worked up with one another. I think the tree has become too small for the amount of baboons that are actually in there. Oh. The tree branch just broke and one of them has fallen out, which is not a common occurrence with baboons. What an incredible sighting, guys. Not often with baboons do you get so much audio. Generally tend to come across them and they tend to be sitting at water or in a tree. And they tend to be kind of quite relaxed foraging. But I think with all the presence of so many males and females that are running around, it's caused there to be a little bit of a ruckus amongst them. And so we've got all this audio, which is very uncommon. So really amazing to be sitting amongst this and hearing it at this stage of the game. You can hear in the background all these males barking and carrying on, and lots of little young ones on the ground wondering what's going on, because this call that you're hearing is often the alarm call for a baboon. And so they're busy thinking maybe there's a predator around, maybe they can see something like a leopard or lions, and that's why they're barking. But I don't think that's the case. As far as I can see, the males and the females are fairly relaxed, and should there be a predator, you would find they'd all be concentrating in the same direction, really shouting and screaming at whatever the predator is or whatever the disruption is around them. You can hear one of the little ones going, not quite as impressive as the older ones. So Jessica would like to know if they are a family or a pack that lives together. Yes, Jessica, they are somewhat of a family. You'll have males and you'll have females, and those males will be controlling the group, and they will be making sure that all the females are looked after, and they will also look after their little ones. So yes, they are a family grouping. They will always travel around in groups together like this. Sometimes you'll get a separation where young males will drift off as they start to look for mating rights, but generally it is a family unit like you see now. You can actually see some of the little ones at the bottom of the tree here being up to no good. There they go, bouncing off. Oh, that one just disappeared, Dave. Seems like probably sitting behind the tree just watching us from there, wondering what we are doing. Oh, there it goes. And you'll find that they'll go up and down trees like this. The little ones obviously like us humans have lots more energy and tend to be up and down and playing, and you know, they've got all their friends here. There's water, there's big trees. It's like being in a jungle gym with a whole bunch of your friends, and so they run around like crazy, busy playing and looking around for food. And all of these games and kind of up and down motions will all be really, really useful in the long run. And as they get older, it will help them to evade predation by using trees and large objects to get up and away, as well as to find food. They learn that they need to look in between the little cracks and crevices of these dead trees or dying trees, and under rocks and things like that. So it all helps later in life when they become adults. So it disappeared there. I see some of them are starting to slowly make their way down towards the waterhole for a bit of a drink. So Jayla would like to know how baboons climb trees without falling. Now, Jayla, the way that they climb trees is very much like us. They have what is called an opposable thumb. Alright, so they have a digit on their hand that they're able to then grip and hold onto the tree. And they're able to then hold onto the branches and pull themselves up using those hand-like digits that they have, as well as on their feet, which obviously we don't have that opposable thumb. They have the same thing, which helps them to grip and to be able to then climb. You will also notice as that one moves away that they have quite a long tail, and that tail then just helps them when it comes to the climbing that they do. And you can see some of the little ones are having a bit of a drink and playing around in the mud. Sometimes you'll find with these baboons, I've seen them from time to time actually pulling the mud apart, looking for little grubs of insects. Sometimes they find little frogs in there that they'll eat. You must remember that a baboon is an omnivorous animal, so it will eat both meat as well as vegetation. And you can actually see now this little one is investigating a big pile of elephant poo. This little pile of elephant poo will probably in all likelihood contain quite a few little insects and grubs. At the moment we have a lot of insects that are busy laying their larvae in the summer conditions, and so sometimes you'll find the baboons going through them looking for those little insects. I see there's a bit of a bedraggled one that's coming down the road here. It looks like one of the lower sort of ranking members. Maybe going to go down for a drink. Now these sort of lower ranking members often get beaten about a little bit, especially when they're at these adolescent phase. It's much like being a sibling to an older brother or sister. You end up getting beaten up and thrown around all over the place, and so they sometimes look a little bit rough around the edges. They end up being kind of thrown about a bit, and so that's why sometimes the younger ones look a little bit more kind of rough and ready. They'll eventually grow out of it and establish themselves and start to look a lot better. Also, it's been quite a tough year for them. We've had a very, very bad drought, and that tough year has meant that some of the baboons are a little bit skinnier than normal, but due to some really good rains that we've had now and a lot of fruiting of some of the trees, we should see the condition of all these animals pick up quite quickly. Now you can see this female is just stopping to admire the view, having a little look around. I did see she was looking up into the trees there. I wonder if she's not looking for any signs of fruits that she could potentially go and harvest. But at this stage, it looks like a very comfortable place to sit. She's got a bit of shade, a nice little riverbed there that's below her, and it looks like a very, very nice place, much like us going towards the beach. Alright, well, while we sit here with these baboons and see how they kind of play around and what they get up to, we're going to go back towards Byron and see what he's got. I believe he might have a slithery dead creature to show you all.
I have indeed, Tristan, something very interesting. Now have a look at this, everybody, right down in front of me. We've managed to find a little snake. Unfortunately, it's dead. Now, I'm trying to have a look, and I think what may have happened is it was possibly attacked by a bird. And I think that's what's killed this little snake. Unfortunately, it didn't eat it. So I'm not sure why or what happened. This looks like a species of egg eater. So they're not venomous to us, they're not dangerous for us. But again, just remember everyone, the most important thing with snakes is always treat all of them like they are venomous. Rather stay away, don't try and handle the snakes. But this snake is dead, unfortunately, but I think it was killed by a bird. Maybe a bird came down, tried to kill it, or tried to eat it and killed it. But unfortunately it didn't, which is interesting, so I'm not sure why that happened. On a hot day like today, and it is about 35 degrees Celsius or about 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Very, very warm afternoon. But days like today, you probably would get a lot of snake activity moving around. They do like the warmth, they do like the heat. And with them slithering around, especially little snakes like this, they can fall prey to some bird species. So that's interesting. I'm not sure exactly what killed it, but it's possibly a bird, I think. Stay Stella. Now, we do get, obviously, as you can see, we get lots of snakes in South Africa and in Africa. We don't have alligators in Africa, not at all. We've got crocodiles, and they are slightly different to alligators, sometimes a bit bigger, and very different to alligators. Also, the jaw structure or the mouth of the alligator is different to a crocodile, but we have crocodiles in Africa. So that's, and hopefully, you never know, you might see some of them with us at some point. We have got a big dam on Chitwa, which is just south of us, which we go to, and there are hippopotamus and crocodiles in there. So you never know, you might see some on Safari Live. But lots and lots of different snake species all over, and especially in this area where we are. So we do have to be careful, but generally the snakes do try and avoid us. They move out of the way, they pick up on our vibrations while we're walking through the bush, and they move out of the way. But you do still have to be careful. You have to keep your eyes open. Everything from cobras to something that looks very similar to the rattlesnake that you've got. We call it a puff adder. It's also an adder, which the rattlesnake is. They look quite similar, but they don't have a rattle which they shake. But the size of the snake is probably the same. So those types of snakes, and then of course the black mamba, which is very well known around the world. Very fast moving snake and very, very venomous. We have to be careful of those. All right, so unfortunate to see a dead snake, but that's nature's way. And I think maybe later something will find this and it will eat it. So it will be someone's food, maybe someone's dinner, you never know, or something's dinner. Now I'm going to carry on our walk, and while I go, let's head back to my friend James and see what he is up to.
Well, you're not coming back to me. You're meeting me for the first time today. My name is James. Hello to the kids of Allenton and Windsor Oaks and, of course, mis amigos in the Colegio San Patricio in Mexico. It's wonderful to have you with us here. And I'm so glad that you haven't met me yet. That's because you've been seeing so many exciting things with the baboons and then the snake. And I have found nothing so far. I'm still looking very hard though, and over the course of the next little while I hope to find you some interesting creatures. Ooh, I've just found you an interesting creature. You won't believe it. It's huge. But what is it? It's just in there. Now please ask us any questions you like. I think I saw a creature. Did I see a creature? Yes, I did. I saw the biggest creature in the world. It's an elephant. Right, here we go. Let's go and see if we can have a look at this elephant. It's just down here. It looks like it's moving into some quite thick bush. So we'll just move through here, and if it is, I've heard of some other elephants that we'll go and have a look at if I can't find this one. Oh, here we go. Right, we're going to drive very slowly. Let's just stop here and have a look then. I'm going to tell you about the elephant first. Now, while we're waiting to just see how this elephant is going to react to us, Maddie wants to know about storms in this area and if we get lots of them. Sometimes we get storms, Maddie, but normally just a few during the summertime. And what we have now is very hot weather, about 95 degrees Fahrenheit, and sometimes storms come through in the afternoon, and we think there might be a storm this afternoon. Now, can you see that elephant is very relaxed? That means that it's not scared of us, which means we can approach a bit closer. So we're going to go a little bit closer and see what he's eating. The big thing is to try and find out what he's eating, because I think he's eating marula fruits, which are very delicious. I'm just going to move down through here, because he seems to be moving off between marula tree, from marula tree to marula tree. That's a marula tree there that you can see. And Stella, you want to know what elephants eat? Well, this time of the year they love marula fruits, and I don't know if Byron's managed to show you any marula fruits yet, but I will try and find some if he hasn't, and then we can get Byron to give you a slightly closer look at them a bit later. Then they also eat grass. They love grass at this time of the year because it's summertime, and that means we get lots of grass in the area. I think this guy's a little bit worried about us, and he's trying to move away from us, but let's keep trying. He's a young bull, and the young bull lives on his own. He doesn't live with his mum anymore, and that means that he's a little bit nervous. He's like a young man who's just left home. There he is. Let's just turn this way. Now, Trinity, you ask a very good question, of course, because this is the biggest land mammal. Oh, we're going to get a lovely view of him now. And I can even smell the marulas. Trinity, you want to know how much they weigh? Well, a big elephant like this, he's a young bull, and so he probably weighs round about 8,000 pounds. 8,000 pounds? Roughly 3,500 kilograms. So I don't know, I think in Mexico you probably operate in the metric system with kilograms rather than pounds. So he's 3,500 kilograms and 8,000 pounds. Isn't it wonderful that you can share this between Mexico and the United States? Doesn't it make you all feel like you're in the same classroom? It's very special, I think, that you're all on safari together. Yes, he's definitely eating marula fruits. And what I'm going to ask Jesse, who's the cameraman, to do is to just tilt the camera upwards to the top of the tree, and what you will see is the fruits in the top of the tree. Just go all the way to the top there, Jesse, and you'll see them. Oh, he's shaking the tree. Quickly down to the elephant. He's shaking the tree, hoping for the fruits to come out. Look at that. Isn't that wonderful? He's so clever. So he's knocking the tree, hoping that those fruits will fall out of it. That's very clever. Look, and now he's having a bit of a scratch. He's a bit itchy behind his ear. And Owen, you're wondering how many different kinds of elephants we get here. Only one kind, Owen, and that's called the African savanna elephant. And that's what this one is. But we get lots of elephants. They're just all the same kind around here. Stella, you've asked a lovely question. I'm just going to try and move so we can see his face properly. You say the elephants eat peanuts. Stella, elephants probably would eat peanuts if they could get them, but remember that they don't know peanuts growing here. So I don't think that this elephant will know what a peanut tastes like. But I imagine that they would eat peanuts. They like to eat fruits like oranges, for example. They love oranges if they can get hold of them, but they have to steal them if they want them, because of course there are no oranges here. Now that little head shake that you saw that elephant give is just him saying to me, please don't get too close because I'm feeling a little bit nervous. So I'm just going to stop here and let him be calm. He's probably about 18 years old, and so he's not fully mature, and he's still going to grow a lot more. And that just means that he's a little bit nervous at the moment. Isn't that nice? There you can see him picking up the fruits one by one and popping them into his mouth. Jeremiah, what a great question from you, of course, because you know that you don't have a tail, do you, Jeremiah? And so it must be interesting to watch an animal with a tail, because it's difficult to understand what he would use it for. Well, the best way for me to describe how an elephant uses its tail is to make you think of an animal that you know of. And there are two animals that you know of that use their tails for the same reason, and those are probably cows and horses. Why? Do you know, Jeremiah, why a horse has a tail and what it uses its tail for? Well, it uses its tail largely to flick off flies, because flies bite horses and they bite cows, and so they flick them with the tail, because they can't reach the back of their bodies with their heads, and so what they do is flick them off with their tails. Now it's the same thing with an elephant. He will often flick at the flies around his back end, and then they'll use his trunk to flick at anything else that's irritating him on his front end. Now he's been sitting in the mud because it's a hot day, and if you look at his back, you can just see there that he's been sitting in the mud. He's got dark bits of mud caked on him, and he doesn't have to have a bath. But what he will do is rub that mud off on the tree, and if we look at the tree just behind him, you can actually see where that mud has come off. Can you see that dark patch of the tree on the right hand side of the tree? Look at him leaning on it now. This is a wonderful sighting. It's very special to watch an elephant like this, you know. They don't often behave like this for us. Very entertaining, isn't it? I think this is wonderful fun. Now he's watching us. Now elephants are sometimes a little bit nervous of human beings, but what they do like to do, especially these young bulls, is they like to almost interact with us. You see, they get bored. They get bored living where they do, on their own, and I think sometimes they think it's quite fun to have a conversation with us. And Luke, normally elephants do live in groups. They live in herds, and the herds are made up of cows and their babies and their sisters and their cousins. But once the bulls get to about, say, between 15 and 18 years old, then they have to leave home. And that's what this guy's done. He's left home, and he's on his own now, and he will live on his own for the rest of his life, except for brief periods when he will be with other elephant bulls. But then he'll be on his own again. I'm just going to quickly lean out the car here. And Kai, yes, you know what? Your question is a very good one. You say, do elephants eat all day long? They do eat all day long, Kai. They're very hungry all the time. Here's a marula fruit. And this one's actually ripe, so I'm going to eat it. And what you do is you put it in your mouth. You just bite off a little piece of the skin. And you spit that out. And then you suck the fruit. You see there's the fruit? You suck that into your mouth. It's too delicious. And you know, there's no fruit in the world that tastes like a marula fruit except a marula fruit. So it's almost impossible for me to describe what it is. Now, my friend Tristan has found some other marula fruit, but I don't think you're going to want to eat the marula fruit he's found.
Well, yes, James, you're very correct. I don't think I would want to be eating that at all. What we have here is a big ball of elephant dung. So as we were watching the baboons a little bit earlier, that we were messing around with the elephant dung, I thought I'd take a little stroll down and see exactly what was inside it. And if you have a look, you can see right there is the nice marula fruit that we were talking about, that James has just showed you. And while they are delicious, in this form, in a ball of dung, I don't think I would like to try it at all. But what we did notice as well when we were sitting here is that inside this grassy area here, there's lots and lots and lots of little seeds and even some insects that were crawling around. I'm not sure if we can pick them up now. I think some of the insects are, there we go, there you can see one in the middle, some of the little flies. And so that's exactly what those baboons were after. They were looking for any signs of those little insects, possibly even the marula fruits and any other little bits of vegetation that they could possibly feed off that the elephant hasn't digested. So there you go, and you can see now exactly why this becomes a hive of activity. So we're going to get rid of that because unfortunately it does smell a little bit. Nobody really wants a rotten marula fruit that's come out of an elephant's backside along with them for the ride. So we're going to carry on now. The baboons have moved off, and we think that what we're going to try and do is see if we can find any sign of Karula. Now Karula is one of our very, very famous leopards that we have here at Djuma. She tends to hang around for long periods of time and is one of the cats that we often go and look for. I believe that this morning she did have an Impala carcass, so we're going to go and try and see if we can find her and see what she's up to.
So we're still with our elephant, and I hope you saw there that Tristan isn't going to eat those marula fruits, but I'll try and find another one, because I need to give one to Jesse, who's a cameraman today, and he's looking a little bit cross with me that I didn't get him one. I ate that one, so I'll have to find him one too. And our elephant is now eating grass. Remember, you asked about what they eat. He's eating grass. And that's because the marula fruits are very sweet. Now, you know that if you're at a party and there are chocolates and cakes and chips and things like that, at the end of the day, you probably feel a little bit in your stomach afterwards. Now, that's the same as an elephant feels after he's been eating marula fruits all day long. He feels like he's been at a birthday party. And so he needs to eat some veggies, and that's why he eats the grass. And Hayes, I know maybe it looks a little bit like the animal or the elephant is quite slow, but you know, an elephant like this, Hayes, can walk or can run at about 45 miles an hour, or maybe 35 miles an hour. And in kilometers, that's about 55 kilometers per hour. And that's really fast. That's much faster than Usain Bolt even. Here we go. I'm going to pick Jesse one of these things. And Justin, well, you say how big do their tusks get? Justin, it depends very much on how big the elephant gets. And you know how some people are tall and some people are short? Well, if you're a tall person, that's just, your genetics. It's if you've got tall parents, then you'll get tall. Now, an elephant's tusks really depend on his parents. So if he's got big tusked parents, he too will have big tusks. If he's got small tusked parents, then he's going to have small tusks. So an elephant's tusks can get enormous. Sometimes they can get so big that they will drop down onto the ground, but that elephant's tusks are never going to get that big. So sometimes they can be that small, and sometimes there can be none. Now, my friend Byron is being very brave at the moment. He's not with one elephant. He's with a lot of elephants, but he's walking with them.
We are indeed, James. We've just found or come across a herd of elephant, and there are a lot of them. Watch them coming through. There's some babies, there's some big adults. It's a huge, big family group that's moving through here. Oh, this is my favorite. They really are my absolute favorite, and it's an incredible experience to see them on foot while they're moving through the bush. Now, we do have to be careful. They are moving not far from us, but what we've done is we've made sure we are downwind from them. So what that means is that if I look at the wind is blowing from the elephant in our direction, so they can't smell us. So they don't know that we are here right now, and that's the most important thing. But they seem very relaxed. But we do still have to be careful. They're just moving on. We might be able to get another view of them as they move through the bush. Just going to see if there aren't some more from that are coming through from the back. Yeah, so follow us. We're going to come through this way. Stella, elephants, come look here. Elephants will live to an average age of about 50 to 60 years old. Now we might get a lovely view from through here. this big elephant moving across through the bush. There he is. Oh, wonderful. Now I can see they've actually been splashing water on themselves. It looks like they've probably been drinking. It's been a very, very hot day. Now just keep following us. We might be able to get another view. I'm still constantly checking behind us to make sure there aren't other elephants. We do have to be careful, like I said. But we might be able to get another nice view of them further on. It's incredible how fast they move through an area. Now the wind is still in our favor, so they don't know that we are here. Now, Kai, an elephant's skin can feel fairly hard, but apparently it's quite moist, it's quite wet, the folds of an elephant's skin. I've never felt it, so I don't know exactly. I can only tell you what I've heard from other people. Oh, you can see that big elephant is still over there. Oh, incredible experience. I'm going to see if we can get another view of them, but while I do that, Tristan has a beautiful big cat he'd like to show you.
Welcome back, guys, and look at that. Look what we've managed to locate. It is the Queen of Djuma, Karula. She is slowly walking towards us. She'll eventually come past this little guarri bush that's in her way at the moment, and hopefully come right next to the vehicle here, and we'll get a really nice visual of her. It is quite a hot afternoon. It's about 95 degrees Fahrenheit or 35 in Celsius, and so what I think is happening is after a very good meal like she's probably had during the day today, she's now on a search for water. And so what I'm hoping is that she's going to come past us here, and just behind us is a small little pan that would be a perfect place for a leopard to go and quench her thirst. But look at that. Isn't that one of the most incredible sights you've ever seen? They are by far one of my most favorite animals. Absolutely beautiful. She does have 2 cubs currently at the moment, and I believe both of them were seen this morning with her. But when cats are on a carcass and they have food, then generally they will often just move towards water by themselves. They won't go all at once, and the reason why is they can then be able to protect their carcass. So if something else had to come, like vultures or hyenas, they can then look after their carcass and not lose it to those predators. And there we go, she's just coming past us now. Sure, she's on her way towards water. So Justin would like to know how much she weighs. This particular female is quite a large female. She's not incredibly large, but I would imagine that she'll probably weigh in around about 40 kilograms or 80 pounds, close to about 80 pounds, 90 pounds, somewhere around there. It will obviously be dependent on how much she's eaten, but generally that's about how much they weigh. I'm going to just quickly turn the vehicle around so that we can just get a view of her having a drink. So Jeremiah would like to know how fast a leopard can run. Well, a leopard, being an animal that is pretty reliant on its power more than anything else, is actually not the speediest of the big cats. She can probably run at about 70 kilometers an hour. That would be about the upper limit for her. She will use more camouflage than anything else when she hunts, rather than speed like or lion. And there we go. You can see now she's just come towards this little water hole, and she's now settled in the nice shady part, which is very clever from her. And she will slowly but surely lap up some water and try and just help cool down that body. Also help with all the digestion of all the meat that she's taken on during the day. You can actually see how that belly is swollen out a little bit around her front legs and back legs there. And then you'll see how when she's busy drinking there, oh, something's caught her attention. So when cats are drinking, they often do that. They'll just pop their head up a little bit just to make sure nothing catches them off guard. Ultimately, they do have to worry about things like hyenas and lions and those things. And so sometimes you'll see her just pop her head up, have a little scan around just to make sure that everything is okay. But when you see her drinking like that, you have a look at her tongue. You'll notice that she doesn't lap the water up with her tongue going up and forwards towards her nose, she actually makes like a little bucket with her tongue that curls backwards and then will bring that water up into the mouth, and she'll be able to basically use it like a little bucket on a rope and pull up little bits of water as she goes. But isn't that one of the most exquisite sights? For me, a leopard drinking is always one of those quintessential things. I always love to find them when they're like this. There's just something about it that eye stare at you, and the way that they gather the water is just incredible. Sure, thirsty girl. And eating is a lot of hard work. You can imagine consuming these big animals. There's lots of protein, which takes a lot of effort to digest. So water is very much needed. So Adaya would like to know what a leopard eats. Now, a leopard is quite an interesting animal in that it has a very, very, very varied diet. These guys are able to eat a multitude of different things, depending on the area that they're in. Obviously here they're very spoiled for choice because we have a vast array of mammal species that they're able to feed on. But generally these guys will target small to medium antelope. That's their kind of favorite prey animals. So things like impalas, duikers, steenbok, those kind of animals. But they will even eat things like termites, little insects, and go all the way up to baby elephants, baby giraffe. I've even seen one with a baby rhino once before, which is quite amazing. So they are incredibly strong cats that are able to bring down very large prey, but generally for them they try to go after things that are slightly smaller. That just allows for them to be able to manage it effectively, and also to be able to get it up into trees and away from any other predators that could potentially steal from her. But she's a very, very thirsty girl this afternoon. She's having quite a long drink there. So Ms. Tifa would like to know, what is the difference between a leopard and a cheetah? Well, just from the beginning, and the most probably easiest way to discern the difference between the two of them is if you have a look at this cat, you will notice that she has big swollen kind of spots that look like they've exploded, that form what's called rosettes, whereas a cheetah will have solid little dots that she will get all along her coat. A cheetah will also be a lot larger in terms of its longer legs, longer body. It's a lot more slender built than what a leopard is. A leopard tends to have very bulky shoulders, bulky legs, and that is because of the different ways that they survive. A cheetah relies very heavily on speed, whereas a leopard, like we've just been talking about, is a far more reliable on its power and its strength to be able to subdue larger animals, and then again to be able to take them up into trees. So cheetah slightly more slender, smaller head, and then if you have a look on the face of this leopard, you'll notice that she's got two little white lines underneath the eyes. Now a cheetah doesn't have that. They have two little black stripes that come down the length of the nose that almost looks like she's been crying with the black ink that's gone down her nose, and that's caused those markings. And that is essentially the easiest way to tell the difference between them. But I think she's absolutely loving that bit of shade with a bit of moisture as well, you know, getting nice cool sand on her belly. You can imagine that mud where it's been in the shade is moist, and so it'll be a lot cooler. So even though she's gaining quite a bit of water there, I think she's also quite enjoying the fact that it's relatively cool on her belly and on her leg areas. Those are the areas that generally get quite hot on a cat or on a furry animal. They tend to build up quite a lot of heat around their arms and their legs. Alright, and so while she's still having a little drink, we're going to just link back to James, who sounds like has one of her favorite animals that she likes to hunt. So James will be having a look at that, and we'll just carry on with her and see if maybe she takes us back to the cubs, and hopefully when you join us again, they'll be back with them.
Indeed, this is what she's eaten the last 2 times, everybody. Impala, just over there. You can see some beautiful impala. And they're the most common antelope that we have here. They're all over the place. And they're so common because they're very good at breeding. And they also can eat grass and they can eat the leaves off trees, and sometimes they can eat fruit, and sometimes they can eat pods. So most animals can just eat one of those things, but the impala are very clever. They're able to eat them all. So it doesn't matter that Karula eats them quite a lot. There are lots of them around. These are rams, which means that they're male. The females don't have those horns. And I suppose I'm trying to compare them with the size of an animal you might get there in the United States and in Mexico. They're a little bit smaller than a white-tailed deer as far as I know. Big males weigh about 140 pounds or 65 kilograms. So not the biggest animals in the world, but they're quite big. And certainly they're much bigger than Karula, but that doesn't stop her killing them, does it? Because she's very, very strong. This is wonderful stuff. I'm not sure how much time you have left with us, kids, so I'm just going to quickly move forward and see if we can't get another look at them in slightly better light. We're just going to ease our way forward. See, now I'm going to talk very quietly, because these guys will be a little bit nervous of us. And that's because everything likes to eat them. Everything wants to eat impalas. Cheetah and leopard and lions and wild dogs and hyenas, they all want to eat impala. And so impala are very nervous of everything. But because I'm talking quietly, and we moved very slowly, and Jesse moved the camera very slowly, they really are okay with us. You can see he's still watching us all the time. But he's not too nervous of us. But if I was to make a sudden movement, or if I was to clap, or perhaps the wind was to change and blow straight from me onto him, and he would smell us as human beings, then I think he'd be quite nervous. This is a very, very nice impala sighting. They don't often stand still for us like this. It's very special. Isn't he lovely? He's an amazing animal. See, he's just deciding that maybe he's a little bit scared of us. Wonderful. Alright kids, you're going to go off to your next class. I don't know what it's going to be. I hope it's fun. Probably not as fun as being on safari, but hopefully we'll see you back here again very soon. Bye-bye.
Welcome back everyone. I can see some elephant moving just in the distance up ahead, just on the other side of the drainage line, but there was a big bull very close to us. Now I'm going to see if we can you see him? Those elephants have just moved through. Hang on a second, we're going to have a good look here. There he is. He's just hiding through the gap on the other side of the drainage line. We've been trying to follow them and keep up with them. They're moving fairly quickly, and I think this male is following the herd that we saw earlier. He's right behind them, possibly trying to see if there are any males in estrus. It is quite thick through there, so I don't think we're going to follow them any further. It's a bit tricky when you are following elephant. You don't know if they've split up, and especially a herd of elephant, you don't want to get stuck between some youngsters and adults in a very thick area. So we're going to leave them and see what else we can find. But it was very exciting to view them on foot. It was fantastic. And I mean, all know how much I enjoy elephant. So we'll see what else we can find. That's a pity they moved off, but they were moving very quickly. Perhaps the females, I think they could possibly sense that male elephant was following them, and they were trying to move away from him as quickly as possible. Looked like they were all splashing mud on themselves or water earlier, probably stopped for a drink. It is very, very hot. I can feel it, and I'm sure they can too. So let's see what else we can find this afternoon. But a great start, some elephant. Oh, now have a look at this. This is interesting. There's a little vertebra, backbone of something. Now, I'm not entirely sure what this is from. Possibly, I wonder if this isn't a buffalo vertebra, I think. Judging by the size, it's hard to say. I don't see any other remains, but it is a fairly large vertebra. I'm just trying to have a look around to see if I can see, but this is quite old, so I doubt I'll find any other remains of this carcass. But that is definitely the vertebra. There's the backbone that we can see right there. I'm not sure exactly what it is. It looks big, it looks fairly large, maybe a large antelope or possibly a buffalo. Anyway, let's continue. Well, there are a lot of grass seeds around at the moment. They get stuck in your shoes and it's quite unpleasant to walk in conditions like this. Here's the ivy grape again that we actually had this morning on our safari, the Cissus cornifolia. Now remember, we used it to try and stop the flies from biting us this morning. Now it actually, I think it worked, to be honest. I'm not sure, but the flies seem to have stopped biting us. And this is the ivy grape. Apparently an old Shangaan friend of mine said if you take the leaves and you crush them and you rub them on yourself, the smell deters the flies and you don't get them sitting on you. Now it's quite a pungent smell. I don't know, we were joking about it at lunch. If anything, this might actually attract the flies, but it seemed to work this morning, so maybe there is some truth in it. Just keeping an eye out for elephant. You never know, there could still be a few around, maybe a few stragglers that have followed the herd. As I was saying, it is quite hot, so I'm not sure what we're going to find this afternoon. I was hoping to find the elephants at the waterhole, but or any animals. What we're going to do is we're probably going to head towards some water. We will have to be quite careful because the animals do move around in heat like this, and they do walk and wallow in mud, especially buffalo and the elephants, as we saw. So we do have to double check. Now my friend James has got the same idea. He's heading towards Treehouse Dam. Let's see what he finds.
We are indeed heading towards Cheetah Plains, towards Treehouse Dam to see what's in the water. We left our Impala and our elephant went peacefully heading off into the bushes as well. And I just want to show you one of the most peaceful scenes in all the world. Just point the camera up there if you wouldn't mind, as quick as they can, otherwise they'll fly away. We've just got vultures flying in the sky there. Can you see them, Jesse? Up a bit. I think tilt up. There you go. You got him. You had him. He gone now. There he is. Top. Oh, it's becoming very difficult for you. Sorry, you're kind of stuck there. Anyway, there is one vulture, very, very gently flying overhead. Well done. And hanging in the wind. And they're actually, that's the one that is sort of furthest from us. There are actually about 25 of them directly above our heads. It's impossible to get at them. Do you see, they actually, look, they're coming in. They're all coming in from the side there. They're all coming in from the south. And it's the most peaceful thing in the world to sit and watch a vulture high in the sky on a hot summer's day like this. That's a batelier, of course. That isn't a vulture. And there he goes. And just complete silence up there. It must be just the best. There's a vulture going past the other way. Isn't that lovely? Doesn't that make you feel peaceful? And of course, the batelier not flying nearly as high as the vultures. There are lots and lots of raptors coming in from the south, seemingly brought by the winds of the storm. But they're actually hanging in a wind that's coming from the other side, so I'm not sure what they're doing. Oof. I was going to try and sorely test poor old Jessie now, but I'm not going to. There's a bird going the other way. Now, please remember, talk to us, #SafariLive, questions at WildEarthTV. You can talk to us, you can ask us any questions, you can send us your comments. It would be lovely to hear from you. The school drive is over, and so any of your questions and comments that you might have would be most welcome right now. I think from here we're going to have a look at Treehouse Dam. I've heard reports of Cheetah on Mala Mala coming north towards Cheetah Plains. So I think we're probably going to head in that direction. See if we don't get lucky. And we're a very long way away from there now, but it might be quite fun to go there and see what's happening. See what the buzz is in the east. Plenty of tracks of hyenas around. There were lots around this morning, and I was wondering if perhaps we weren't going to find a den had been reoccupied, but we didn't. We did go to one of the dens and had a wonderful sighting of a rough-scaled plated lizard that had taken up residence in the old Philemon's cutline den. Now, there have been elephants here. I suspect the elephants that Byron was showing you, he was just off to the east of this dam. I can just see a bit of dung. So we'll just go around the corner here. We'll park on the dam wall, see what we can see, and then probably head off to the far east. So it's quite nice having this cloud cover rolling in. It makes what is otherwise a very hot afternoon a bit cooler. If we just look down there, Jesse, you can see terrapins with their heads out of the water. And if we go to the far right-hand side, bottom there, you can see a terrapin actually clean out of the water there. He's basking in what must be quite a hot basking position. You see him there? There you are. You got him. It's him there. Always with their heads imperiously up, noses upturned. Like a number of people I know, actually, whose noses are a little upturned about life. And there the rest of them are just swimming around behind him. I think a terrapin, when summer comes, has got a marvellously relaxed life. Swimming about, basically swimming in your food so you don't have to worry about finding things to eat. Buffalo comes along, you eat the ticks off him. Otherwise you just eat a bit of algae, a couple of invertebrates. Probably gets a bit hot, I guess, in this water. And then you lie on the side of the pan and nothing tries to eat you because you smell so beastly awful. It's very quiet out here because it's very hot. You might just be able to hear there the call of the long-billed Crombeck. Tree, 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 tree. I'm going to quickly look and see. Now, Jamie, you say you would love to see a hyena. I too would love to show you a hyena, Jamie, because you say you haven't seen one. There is a long-billed Crombeck. You see the bird just in the end of the tree there? Straight over the top of my hand. The farthest left bit of that dry bush that you can go. There, left a bit. There, yeah, he's in there. There he is, hopping. That's it. That's the long-billed Crombeck. But Jamie, you know, we used to have a den and we used to watch them every single day, but the den has moved to the north out of the area that we traverse, and that's why we're not seeing them at the moment. But just keep watching. They'll come back, and then we'll have wonderful hyena sightings because they are the most fascinating animals. Now that is the long-billed Crombeck, and he is playing with what looks to be an emerald-spotted wood dove. Is that what that is? Is it? I can't actually see through here. I think that's what it is. And the Crombeck is eating insects. He's gleaning insects off the branches, so probably many ants and that sort of thing. I'm just trying to look. I'm not sure that is a dove. I don't think I can see it anymore. We'll pretend it was a dove. And that's more a grass seed eater than it is an insect eater, but it will eat both. Marvellous. Alrighty. Oh yes, it's definitely a dove. That's a laughing dove. Well spotted there. Gorgeous. Right, we had vultures in the sky. Byron, I think, is heading towards the lion kill that they had just down there a little while back, and he's got vultures in a tree.
We have indeed got vultures in the tree, James. Quite a few of them, a lot of white-backed vultures. Now, I'm having a look around. We're obviously going to be very cautious when approaching, because you never know, you could still get some predators around in the area. But those are all white-backed vultures sitting up in that tree. So we're going to approach very carefully and see if we can't find the carcass, or what's responsible for the carcass. Sure, very, very hot this afternoon. Sweating quite a bit, so we'll see. I'm not entirely sure. Also, while we're walking along, you can actually see all these elephant tracks. There you go, some of the vultures. If you have a look on the ground, there's some beautiful elephant tracks. You can still see the wrinkles in the pads on the sand. Look at that. Very, very clear elephant track. And this was from the herd that we saw earlier. And they've moved off in that direction. So let's carry on and see what these vultures have spotted. As I said, we're going to check very, very carefully. Not too sure where this kill was that they had. But look at all of them flying now around. I'm curious to see what actually happened. Is there still a predator around? Or have the predators moved off? Is there no food left because of the vultures sitting in the tree? There's a possibility there could still be predators on the ground. So I'm not sure. We're going to have a very good look. I'll just double check this area. There's a little hornbill up in the tree just next to me. Oh, there it goes. It's a yellow-billed hornbill. Now this is always very exciting, walking through the bush and not knowing exactly what you're looking for. I know there's a carcass around here. There must be a carcass around here because of all these vultures that were sitting about. Pilar, now I've never seen anything eating a vulture, so I'm not sure. And to be honest, I don't think they have any predators. I've never actually seen anything eating a vulture. You know, I think they've got to be careful when they're feeding on the ground. If a big lion or something catches them off guard, might be able to kill them. I doubt they'd eat them, but they'd probably just kill them. They don't like them feeding on their carcasses. But I've never seen anything predate on a vulture. Anyway, let's carry on. Now, if you see me jump, it's because something's popped out of the bush close to us. You're right there, Craig. Now, I'm just having a good look around. I don't see any sign of a carcass yet. I'm going to have a look around here. Let me scan this area very, very carefully. While I do that, let's head back to James, get an update from him, and then you can join me later again.
I can see a whole lot of vultures coming into where Byron is. I don't know if the ones that he's terrified out of his wits. Just excuse me 1 second while I say hello here. Aye, Minjani Kwalan. Iko miakui. Ja, satikem savin. Ja, miakui. Okay. Ja. Yeah. Inkom. Enjoy. Right, there we are. That's from Chitwa. Our old friends now, you see, because of course we share some land. Now I'm going to get into an area here where you can see these vultures that Byron has kind of startled out of their tree, and they're starting to catch the wind now. Can you see them there, Jesse? I'll just stop on this bump here, and that'll make it a little bit easier. There they are, taking off into the sky. There we go. Gorgeous. 5 or 6 of them, and they're being blown steadily south as they catch height. And then you can see as they turn what is to the left-hand side of your screen, basically, they gather height, and then they turn towards the right, and the wind catches them from behind, and they lose a little bit of height, and then they turn back into the wind. And that's basically how a glider would gain height, and there's also probably a bit of a thermal there that they're catching as well. Marvellous. Gorgeous. Right, then the other thing I wanted to show you, and if you'll just have to excuse the power line, that's just how it works out here, unfortunately. There is a giant bank of clouds coming in from the east. Now that is very strange, and I'm sure it's come off the sea. That's quite fun to see that great big storm cloud from the east. Maybe there's a cyclone coming in. Alrighty, on we go. We are going to make our way towards Cheetah Plains and see if we can't find the cheetah. I'm going to drive a little bit faster, and obviously we'll stop at whatever else there is. You can see something up ahead there. It looks like a nyala, but it's miles away. Hello, Espen, you're wondering about the darkness of the night and if eyes of different animals shine different colors in the night. People will tell you that predators shine green and non-predators shine a bit sort of yellower. I haven't noticed any difference at all. Eyes tend to look like eyes to me when they're shining back at you at night. But of course some eyes don't shine at all. Our eyes don't shine at all. We don't have the membrane at the back of them called the tapetum tempernum, something, yes, the tapetum tempernum I think it's called. Tapetum lucidum. There we go. Thank you very much, Louise. Tapetum lucidum. And that's the membrane at the back of the eyes that reflects light. We don't have one of those, and any animals that do, then do reflect light in the night time. So that's a great question, but unfortunately we won't be seeing any of those tonight because we'll be done by the time it gets dark. Good afternoon. How's it going? Are you well? Good, nice to see you. Yes. Okay, super. Thank you. Enjoy. Everyone thinks we're off to Karula. They don't know that Tristan is there. I thought I saw a leopard, but it was a stick. Byron has found himself a buffalo, and it smells.
Now we have found a carcass, a buffalo carcass. I think the lions fed on this, if I'm not mistaken. Now we actually had a good look at this buffalo. The stench is quite bad from this side, so I'm not going to go too much closer. But we saw it. Actually, let me just have a look from this side. If I stand over here, I think I saw, well, it's actually not too bad, the stench from here, but this looks like the female whose leg was broken. Now Taylor was chased by a buffalo not too long ago. Not sure if some of you remember that, and I think this buffalo has met her demise It is a female. Now this, by the looks of things, it is that buffalo that broke its leg, and I think the lions managed to target it, and that's what they fed on. Now the carcass has been cleaned up pretty well. It looks like there were definitely hyenas in the area, and the tracks all around. I'm surprised the vultures weren't down, but to be honest, I think they've been down. There's a lot of feathers around, and I think they fed on just about everything they could, and there's not much more for the vultures to even feed on. So this carcass has been cleaned up completely. You never know. You might still get a few vultures. You might still get a few vultures coming down. I'm just having a look. I thought I heard something, but I think there are still a few vultures around in the trees behind us. No, Mary, no, vultures are not always indicative of a kill. And I'll tell you why I say that is often you find vultures sitting in trees, but it doesn't mean that they're necessarily close to a kill. Often the vultures will rest, especially in cool weather. They'll sit up in dead trees. And because they're so used to following each other, you might get a few vultures sitting in an area, but purely resting, not because there's a kill. So just because you see vultures sitting in a tree does not mean, or does not necessarily mean, that there is a kill close by. So you do have to be very careful. Have a look around. You never know. There could be, usually if you see a large group of them, chances are there is a carcass, but it doesn't mean there is definitely a carcass around. As I said, a lot of hyena tracks around here too. Now I wonder if there were some other nocturnal animals that came and fed on this buffalo. We have seen black-backed jackal in the area. The other day one was seen, even though we don't see them very often, but the jackals will definitely come and scavenge off this carcass. And then maybe some other little nocturnal animals, you never know. Little civets, maybe a genet or two. Even though they're not big carnivores, but they are opportunistic, and if there's food around they might come and feed and try and pick up some scraps, so you never know. Now I'm going to move away from the stench. I'm glad we found the carcass, so at least we could see what the vultures were around for. Now let's head back over to Tristan, who's got some leopard cubs for you.
So while Byron was busy messing around with stinky buffalo carcasses, we decided we would try and mess around with a little stinky impala carcass that these leopards have got. And so we came looking for Shangile and Hosanna that's maybe lying up here. And I don't know if you guys can see, but under that little bush, that bush willow, that fallen over one, is a very sleepy little Shangile. She's found herself the absolute perfect spot to have a nice afternoon nap. You can see inside there is very, very, very shady, so nice and cool inside there. There's a breeze that's now picked up that will be going through those branches there and will just be helping to cool her down nicely. It also seems that while we've been sitting here, lots and lots of little biting flies that have been irritating her, so maybe in that thicket it's slightly better than being right out in the open. But that is definitely a position for a very satisfied cat. Food, shade, a bit of a breeze now, and they will be very, very happy. But isn't it incredible, the camouflage of this animal? When you kind of looked at that first shot, it's amazing how well they blend in. It actually took us a while to find this cat. We had to do a few loops around until eventually we kind of got into an angle where we could see these spots poking out. But they are super, super camouflaged. At this stage we still haven't seen any sign of Hosanna. He's somewhere around here. Being his normal self and being quite naughty, probably lying quite far away. But I would imagine he'll be somewhere close by, just doing much like what Shangila is doing and just finding a nice cool area just to take it easy. They know that the end of the day is going to slowly start approaching, and soon there will be a little bit of relief from the weather and they'll be able to then feed. So James, thank you very much for your kind comment. It's great to be here and great to be a part of the team. My favorite leopard in this particular area, I have two. One is Tandi, which is obviously one of the daughters of Karula, and the other one is Tiani, which is a little daughter of Salahesh, who occurs in our sort of western side of this traversing area. Both of them are beautiful little leopards, both females. And then my third favorite probably is Anderson, which is a massive male that we used to see on the western side. So I'm hoping that in time he'll slowly start to shift to this way towards where Tingana is, and we maybe get a few more sightings of him. But he's an absolute beast. But I think Tandi and Tiani are for me my two favorites. I really enjoy both of them. Both very, very pretty leopards, and tend to be able to catch very large prey animals way out of their size category, and maybe that's why I like them. I think with Tundi, the relationship probably started when I was working at Chitwa. I once found her in my bedroom. I was actually on drive and came back for a shower after drive before hosting, and went in and had a shower, and as I came out of my bathroom, there was this little cat staring at me from inside my bedroom. Luckily, both of us got equal fright and went opposite directions instead of towards one another, and she went out the door, and I went into the bathroom screaming like a little girl. And that's where it all kind of started. From there, I used to see her regularly around my house at Chitwa. She used to spend a lot of time on my balcony, so I used to see her quite often, and so that's why I liked her. I liked to follow her around. We got lots and lots and lots and lots of sightings of her around the lodge, so I got to see her raising her first cub around there. So she was a very special leopard that I got to spend a lot of time with early on in my guiding career. And then Tiani, in the last sort of 2 years, I've been able to follow her. So from the time that she was about 6 weeks old, when she was born at the lodge that I was working at, and she's just grown up around that area, and so spent really a lot of time with her. And she's also quite a hooligan and a character, and tends to do all her own things. She doesn't really like to listen to mom, never really followed mom properly. She likes to kind of bounce around and do her own thing, and she's an incredible huntress already. I saw her kill a baby duiker at 4 months old, which is quite early for a leopard. And then eventually, now I saw her quite recently, and she had already killed a fully grown male Impala. So for a little sort of 17-month-old leopard to kill a fully grown male Impala is quite special. So I like both of them for that reason. Both of them have a little bit of fight in them and a bit of kind of spunk, and so yeah, very, very, very pretty girls as well. I actually quite like Shongile as well. I haven't spent enough time with her, to be honest, but from what I have spent with her, she seems to be quite a nice leopard. Got a nice temperament to her, is always very chilled, and has very striking eyes. I always like her eyes because they look very intense, and she always looks like she's got this very intense stare to her. So hopefully she'll become one of my favorites as well. I'd like to hear from you, James. Who is your favorite leopard? You can send us a reply and let me know. So Riva would like to know how much water a leopard would need on a day like this. It's a difficult question to answer because it depends on what's available. If you are in sort of drier conditions or in drier climates where it's still hot but not as much water around, you'd find that they probably wouldn't be able to get as much, and their daily intake would be slightly less. In this area at the moment, so much water around, I would say that they're probably requiring a sort of 4 to 5 liters, and if it's very hot and they've eaten quite a bit, maybe a little bit more with all the panting. As they lose moisture from panting through their mouth, maybe it'll go up a little bit more to sort of 6 liters. But yeah, in this area I would say anywhere between sort of 4 and 5 throughout the day. So you can see Shongile's ear there is just bouncing around a little bit, and you watch her paw as well. The flies are obviously driving her crazy, landing on her mouth, lying on her ears. Thanks, James. Well, I believe you are also a huge fan of Tundi, so good on you. We have something in common. And yeah, hopefully Tiani will start spending a little bit more time this way. The last time I saw her, she was actually very, very close to coming towards Djuma. And so as a young female, she might be dispersing slightly from her mother. And who knows, maybe she becomes one of the stars of Djuma in the future. And hopefully so. She's a really pretty little leopard, and very relaxed, and hopefully she'll spend a little bit more time with us. But you can see with Shongile, much like Karula, is also breathing quite heavily, lots of panting, got her legs open to be able to cool that belly down. So Pilar would like to know how we kind of identify these leopards. So for the most part, it's spot patterns. That's what we will utilize mostly. So leopards all will have unique coat patterns, and particularly spots around the eye area, around the whisker line, just above the whiskers. So those are the kind of markings that we use initially. After time, and after seeing these leopards many, many times and day after day, it almost becomes like knowing your own dog. You just know that that's that leopard. You can see it in the way that they look from quite far away. But initially, yes, we identify them using spot patterns and the different spots that they have. No two leopard has the same spots. But isn't that the most beautiful little leopard? Eh? Look at those eyes. Like I was saying earlier, she's got quite a piercing little stare. Must have gotten that from her mom. She doesn't seem to have inherited the feisty characteristic that maybe Tundi and Shadow and Karula have inherited or have. But she definitely has the stare much like her mom, that's for sure. I think she's quite interested in what's going on with us. So you can see she's just kind of giving us a little look. With all the flies that are around, it's really disturbing her. I don't think she's actually getting much rest. There we go, you can see she's trying to actually catch them now. You're going to have to be a little faster than that, my girl. Slightly slow on the draw there. And you'll find that the flies are all over her. They'll go particularly into her ears, around her nose area, her mouth. There'll be bits of meat from when she's fed that will be around there that would have attracted them through their scent, and also when she's got moisture that will be coming off her nose, her nostrils, around her mouth area, from her saliva, that will attract those flies to sequester that moisture off her. And so that's why they're spending a lot of time around the face area more than anywhere else. So while those ears are really an asset when it comes to hunting and comes to kind of being able to detect animals around you and detect your environment, when it comes to flies, not such a pleasant thing to have. Rather, I'm sure she'd rather have smaller ears like us, where the flies don't bother her nearly as much. Oh, there we go, a little roll over, that's better. And we can actually see you a bit better. So Diana would like to know if Karula takes these cubs on her hunting expeditions at the moment. As far as I know, not yet. I haven't spent much time with them, like I say. And from what I've heard is that generally she goes and makes a kill and still goes and fetches the cubs and brings them back to the carcass. I have seen that there's a few sightings, or heard of a few sightings, of Hosanna catching his own meals. So I saw one the other day where he caught a monitor lizard. And he's caught a couple of baby impalas as far as I know. So they are starting to hunt on their own. And typically with leopards, it's not like lions or cheetah where they'll actually take their cubs actively hunting. Often it's in the case where they're walking with the cubs to another carcass and they come across an opportunity and they'll kind of just try and show them what to do. Or the cubs will just watch mother as she goes about her normal business. But as far as I know, they're not actively being taught to hunt just yet by Karula. I'm sure it will start happening. And maybe we'll be lucky in the next couple of months to kind of witness that whole process as it goes on. But it is a beautiful, beautiful place that she's found. It's such a nice little area that we're in for a leopard. It's got nice cover, nice and thick. Like I say, we're up on a little bit of a crest here with a little drainage line just to our western side. And so there's a nice breeze that's really filtering over here, which is causing a nice kind of cool feel to this area. It's been hot all over. So here it's quite nice just to kind of be in this cool area, and for two leopards is amazing. So we're going to carry on here with a little bit, see if we can find the male, and see if we can maybe locate him. And in the meantime, Byron's got some things to show you on foot.
Now it looks like it's an elephant day for us, everyone. I'm going to keep my voice down because we found another herd of elephant. They seem very relaxed. They've been splashing around in a little waterhole. Now we're going to sit and stand very quietly. And we're just going to move a little bit. Stand still, don't worry. And we're just going to stand right here. Now watch this. Don't worry. This is an incredible experience. Now we're going to stand quietly. They are heading towards us, so we're going to stand dead still. Now they seem very relaxed, but again we'll just stand quietly. Yuma, 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 yuma. Okay, we're just going to move a little bit back towards this termite mound behind us. See, she didn't even know we were here, this female elephant. So, okay. Again, see, as we moved now, they saw us, but they still seemed quite relaxed. She just got a little bit of a fright. She actually didn't know we were here. That's all, but you can see they're not aggressive at all. She's not worried about us. She saw us and she just decided to take the herd around the other way. Wasn't that amazing? Incredible experience. They were very, very close to us. But again, the whole thing is never make sudden movements. If they come and approach you, stand still. With us moving a little bit out of the way, and we just we had a termite mound behind us just to give us a little bit of safety if she did decide to come right up close to us. But the wonderful thing was she didn't know we were here, and then as we moved, she saw us and just got a bit startled, but she was never aggressive. She just basically lifted her head, thought, oh, she didn't know we were here, and she turned, took the herd the other way around. That was incredible. Very, very interesting experience. Now, we actually thought they were going to initially walk up the road because they were heading in that direction. It just shows you can never be sure. You've always got to be aware, because they turned completely and headed in this direction, which was very interesting. But it looks like they've moved off now. But what a great experience. They came right up to us. That really was fantastic. Wow. And I mean, I love elephants, so that for me is the absolute best. Really is the absolute best. I'm just trying to see where they've gone. Let's have a look. Now, I think they've moved off, so we are going to do the same. Let's head back to my friend James and see what he's got on Cheetah Plains.
James has got nothing on Cheetah Plains at the moment. He's trying to make his way towards what was a reported cheetah sighting. Okay, copy, thanks, Sean. And what we don't really know, we've got garbled reports of where they are and what they're doing, because they were south of the boundary, and so the Cheetah Plains guys have kind of left and they've headed off to the north to try and find the Ninkapuma Pride, and I think Ephraim's gone towards Karula. So we're going to go down into the clearings and see if we don't get lucky, perhaps. Because if they were heading north, apparently they were very fat and quite keen to come towards Cheetah Plains. So with any luck, we'll be lucky. And Sean from Arathusa is down there as well, trying to have a look. So we'll see. Who knows? We're coming out into the first clearings now.